The rules are there's a microphone in the center, and everybody can line up single file. I encourage you to do that. There's going to be plenty of time for everybody that wants to ask a question to get an answer. And if you could line up single file, stick to one question, and when you finish, if you want to ask another one, if you could go to the end of the line, that would be fantastic. And then if you could, give me the biggest round of applause you can for Sam Witwer.
Star killer!
Excuse me, guys, I have to eat some M&Ms now.
Welcome.
You gotta give me a few minutes. You're so good. No, sorry. Hi, how's it going? Should I just start talking, or do we want to start with the questions?
Well, I think we're going to have people line up for questions, so we need the first victim. I mean, the first question person. I promise we won't bite. Well, he won't bite. I might.
Cool, so you don't have to think about anything to say other than the answers to the questions. This is perfect.
Okay, go ahead, young lady.
All right, I have to ask you, where did you get your hat?
This hat?
Yes.
Target, I think.
I actually bought the same hat. I waited 2 years for it to go on sale, and it finally was like, literally like $1 something.
And then I
I'm
bought the
like,
last
yes.
one. I stole it from you. I bought the last one.
Oh, okay.
By the way, you were rocking the mic. You can't. I don't know if you guys saw her, but she goes up and she's just like, yeah. She's like, where'd you get the hat, Dick? Hello.
Hi, Sam. How are you?
Good. How are
That's
you?
my question.
I'm fine. Thank you.
Wondering how you're doing.
That's awesome.
Okay, so over the last couple of years, starting with Battlestar Galactica and the Star Wars voiceovers, and now Being Human, you've sort of been in a lot of shows that attract an audience like us, maybe nerds, and Smallville. Yeah. So I was wondering, is that on purpose? I mean, did you request? I mean, do you audition for certain things like Battlestar, knowing like I love this show, I want to be a part of it?
Battlestar was like that. Everything else has been a coincidence. Battlestar, I saw the miniseries. I was like, please get me on that show, and they did. I'm like, whoa, it worked. Cool. You know, because it's like, you know, you feel like you're high-powered, you know, like, I'm in Hollywood, I'm calling my agent, get me on that show. Like, all right, you're on the show. What?
So you're telling us you're a secret nerd?
Not a secret nerd. No, hold on. No, but everything else, Smallville, I got a call out of the blue saying that the producers would like to meet you. Well, that sounds very Hollywood, I'll be there. You know, but I have no idea why. What they saw, I know some of it had seen Dexter or The Mist or wherever this, and I don't know. I don't know why they hired me for Smallville, but they actually called me in, and then I didn't have to screen test or anything. Like it was a very easy process in terms of getting that role. They just somehow decided they wanted me. Being Human was because it's the same casting director for Smallville. They were like looking for Aiden. They'd gone through hundreds of guys, and they were having trouble finding him. And the casting director goes, "Well, you know, this guy Sam Witwer's kind of a troublemaker, but he might be able to do it. I don't know." And so they called me in. But you know, it's funny. I mean, I did a pilot for CBS that had nothing to do with sci-fi. It didn't go. And I do little projects here and there that have nothing to do with it. But I guess the ones that are most seen are these hopping around the franchises and stuff.
Yeah, you tapped in.
No, well, it's fun though, because I mean, I'm a huge fan of all this stuff, you know, so I'll walk into, you know, I got a chance to visit, I shouldn't say this. I can't say this. Okay, I got a chance to visit J.J. Abrams' Star Trek set. And it was, yeah, I've never been on a set that was that large where I'm looking and me and my buddy are looking at it and we're looking at a light fixture and going, you know, if we sold that light fixture, we could make a whole episode of my show. But it was funny because me and my buddy who went there were both kind of nerds, and we were able to look at the set and know what planet we were on. Which was cool.
That's impressive.
We're like, oh, this is, you know, what? Oh, I know where we are. You know, we're dorks. That's what it is. Planet Dork 5. We have Planet in the Dork system. Anyway.
Thank you very much.
In The Force Unleashed, you're essentially playing Luke Skywalker if he was raised by Darth Vader. How did you prepare for that?
Dude. Well, you know, I watched the movies. No, we talked a lot. We talked a lot because we were like, we not only want this character to feel like he belongs in Star Wars, but we want him to feel like he would belong next to like Han and Luke. We wanted to give him that kind of flavor, performance-wise. So, being the bunch of geeks that we are, we came up with like a geek equation to make Starkiller because we were trying to figure it out. We were all like, well, we don't want him to like this guy, but he starts out kind of the space Hitler a little bit. You know, he's just doing bad things, and then he becomes a good guy.
Hitler bad.
Hitler bad? He starts out like bad Hitler. What would you guys think if I said that? He's like Hitler, only he's evil. I mean, what does that mean? What is he trying to say here? Hitler, if he had gone wrong. Yeah, we've done the Hitler thing today. Great, thanks. So we were like talking about it. We were trying to figure it out, and part of the reason why we were trying to figure out what kind of character it was is that at first you could have played it 50 different ways. And on my audition, I'm like, hey, you can play this 50 different ways. Like, okay, do them. So we did the character like sort of a Luke Skywalker version, a Han Solo version, of this and that, all these different types of personalities. And then finally, when we got down to it, we're like, you know what? He needs to be all of these personalities. So if you notice when he's talking to Darth Vader, he's like, what does that video mouse say? You know, and he's like, he sounds a little bit like Darth Maul, and it's sort of that Sith apprentice thing. And then when he's talking to Proxy and Juno, he's like, hey, come on, shut up, guys. You know, and so it's got that banter from the original Star Wars. So, here's the equation. Long answer to a question. He is, if I can remember correctly, he is, okay, 1 part Darth Maul, 2 parts Han Solo, 1 part Indiana Jones, because there actually is a difference, believe it or not, and then 1 part Luke Skywalker. So that was what we were doing, you know, that was it. I love it. You don't have to applaud after every answer. Pretty great, right? The next one. How am I? I'm fine.
Sam, nice to meet you. Being that Smallville was not only one of the best shows, not only genre shows, but one of the best shows the last like 15, 20 years, you had to play the quintessential mother effer, okay, as far as comic book villains go. All right, now my question is it, being that Doomsday was never really in human form, how did you approach having to play Doomsday, okay, as this, I don't know, nice guy turning, you know, into the creature that ultimately kills Superman?
Well, that's the thing. So they called me into that meeting I was telling you about, and they're like, okay, and he's this nice guy, and he's a bartender. He was a bartender at the time. He was then they turned him into an EMT. But he was a bartender. He's a really nice guy, and they turned out to be Doomsday. And I was vaguely aware of Doomsday, and I'm like, wait, how's that? Not the same thing, guys. You're gonna blow this, you know. And so then I read the comic books and got even more concerned because I'm like, it's not the same thing. And then the fans were concerned when they hired some dude named Whitwer to play Doomsday. It makes no sense. But really what it was, and I think maybe why the fans accepted it, was that it was interesting to see a guy who really was a good guy. And he had this condition that caused him to do bad stuff. Not unlike Aiden for being human. You know, really actually is a pretty cool guy, but does have horrible things because of what's wrong with him. So, I don't know. They look at me, they're like, he seems like a nice guy who does horrible things. but yeah, it's, that was a concern we all had, and then thank goodness it worked.
Well, you did an incredible job. So.
Thank you. And when I say it worked, the fans seem to have not killed me. That's what I mean by
That's why I asked, because it was very conceivable at all.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no attempts on my life just yet.
Just want to let you know, I love doing the show, and next season I'm going to do more pouting, or less pouting.
Of course. More. I'm only going to pout next year. It's interesting you should say that, because I said to the producers, it's okay, we did the vampire thing, cool, we understand. Can character is a lot funnier and more charming when he's around people. You know, we gotta get him around people. He's gotta be around human beings. That's the whole point of the show. He wants to be that. He's a drug addict who wants to go clean, and he needs to be around normal people.
Real quick, is Bishop gonna be in the next season at all? Anything hint? Gonna have another dream sequence with him? Or?
Keep talking, go ahead.
Also, my sister loves you. She's right here.
I love
And she
her.
loves you. Can you give her a hug?
I can, if everyone else promises not to say, hey, but can you also give a hug too? I mean, I can hug you later, but just not in front of
Oh,
everyone.
not
you know.
me, my sister. She
Ah,
loves you.
Come over here. Come on.
She's saying, I hate you now.
Now, if you ever meet Sam Huntington, this is what it looks like. You ready? Oh.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
No problem. Is Bishop going to be back? And the answer is maybe. I'll. God, it's really not my place to say, is it? I'm just going to put it that way. But Mark Pellegrino is a really good friend of mine. I just had lunch with him 2 days ago, and we were talking about all things, including being human. So.
I know you already touched on it a little bit, but what other similarities did you find playing Davis on Smallville and your new character on Being Human? What other similarities?
They look a lot alike. Surprisingly. No, the condition is very similar, and I suspect that's why the casting director was like, why aren't we talking to this guy? This is all he does. You know, but one of the differences is that with Aiden, I get to have a sense of humor. Davis, and understandably so, did not have a sense of humor about what was happening to him. You know, none. I think a vampire, if you're really realistic about it, if you're a vampire that doesn't have a sense of humor, you must be incredibly stupid. You know, because it's like if it's like if you tell jokes to like your younger brother or something like that, and they're all hilarious to him because he's never heard them, and you're just like, this is my B material, man. This is not even funny, and it's because he's younger and hasn't heard it. It's like I imagine all vampires really should be like Bill Murray if they feel like it. But there were some real similarities there, and I suppose the Smallville thing kind of set me up for the Being Human thing. What I'd like to see Aiden do more of, and one of the things that I felt was important with Davis Bloom in Smallville, because they wrote him like they wanted him to come in, and he's this dark. Okay, look, there was one version where he's like kind of dark and mysterious, and he just says the right thing, and Chloe's like, oh, and I thought it was important to make him stumble over his words a little bit, because there's a moment where he meets Chloe, and he says something like, hey, you're a good mate. The line was, you're a good wingman, Chloe, and then he leaves, and she's supposed to go, oh, and I'm like, I think the audience will like him better if he blows this. He goes, hey, you're a good wingman, Chloe. Wing person. Okay, you know what I mean? And then he leaves. Because that's more human. That's more like, that's more what the guy's going through inside. Who wants to watch a super slick guy walking around getting everything he wants? And with Aiden, we will have the opportunity to go more in those places in season 3. Because, like I said, he's around people more. So I'll be able to stumble him up a little bit, which I'm looking forward to doing,
Looking forward to seeing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask 2 things actually. One is, even though I kind of remember the end of Being Human, I know that after Bishop died, they came to you to say, okay, we want you to be the head of a coven. So what was that like?
What was that like? Not successful. He never became the head of anything. He was going to, and then it got really derailed. And then he got, okay, no spoilers here. Something bad happens to him at the end of the 2nd season. Which is why I'm growing this beard, actually. So, it's, this is, what's that? Thank you. Yeah, it's my Charlton Heston, Planet of the Apes. But yeah, he's not gonna, I don't know, Aiden might pout, but it's not gonna be cute by the time you see him. he'll try pouting and people are not going to respond. He's going to look really ragged when we first run into him in the third season.
And also, what was it like playing Starkiller?
Awesome. It was awesome. It was cool. It was like hanging out and making your own Star Wars with your friends. Really, that's what it was. Having people hand you huge amounts of, money for production stuff and cool environments. We had resources to play with to create this Star Wars story. So that was really cool. They spent the money on that one. That was good. I mean that in the nicest way. They worked very, very hard. Thank you.
So speaking of a slick guy who gets everything he wants and why I hate you, you've been a Jedi, a Sith, Doomsday, a vampire. Between you and Sam Jackson, what's left to be?
I'm going to play Sam Jackson.
Say what again?
What's left? I don't know. When's JJ going to hire me to show up in one of the Star Trek movies? What's that? Yeah. Come on. I'm right here. Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Damn!
Yeah!
Thank you so much, man. Ever since my wife has seen you on TV, you make my bedroom act so much better. Yeah, I'm your replacement. So please, you got me more episodes because it's, reruns ain't,
Tell you what, you keep going and I'll give you 13 more episodes. Come on.
No idea what you do on TV. Make me, take it all out, babe. I love it. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
You're a wonderful actor. So thank you so much.
13 more episodes just for you, pal. That's for me.
I really got like 2 real questions for you.
Do it.
First off, yo man, being human, okay?
Yeah,
All you being human people, yo, what do you, with any word on, and any thought of, question number 1, any thought of being human people having to help with a zombie apocalypse? And question number 2, since you did the voice in Star Wars, the Unleashed, I think you did, I let you do, and any word if you're gonna do any of the Clone Wars cartoons, man? Any voice
I might
episodes?
do Clone
Come
Wars.
on,
I might do Clone Wars. I'm thinking about it. I've done Clone Wars, my friend. I've done it. You watch Clone Wars?
Oh man, I love it. And there's going to be more of you.
Oh yes.
All right, because
Oh yeah.
just your voice alone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You got it. Yeah.
Thank you, Army. I think it will make my ride home pleasurable.
You know what I'm talking about?
So what do I think about the zombie apocalypse, man?
Zombie apocalypse. Well, it's all coming. It's coming. None of us can deny it. How ready are we? I've got like 3 things of water in my apartment. It's cool.
Yo, what do you think about
I got a slingshot.
You make an awesome zombie killer, man.
Yeah. Set me up, man. Come on.
Ready for zombie apocalypse?
Just give me a shot.
Well, thank you, my man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I feel like you're going to run up, jump through the air, and stab
Since you're a daywalker for being human, you ever thought of getting rid of people from Twilight?
Like murder? I can't kill anyone, man. I mean, let's not talk about here. Let's not.
Not in public.
I haven't seen Twilight, and I haven't seen other stuff. I haven't seen Blood or any of that stuff. I saw Dracula as the Coppola Dracula. I've seen the original Dracula. I've seen those. I go back to the Christopher Lee stuff, but I haven't seen the recent stuff. So, my version is simply, whatever I think a vampire would be, basically. I mean, really, you know what it is? Being human is about a guy. For me, it's about a guy who is, wants to go clean. He's a recovering drug addict. So that's where I feel like my first job is on that show, is to do that.
All right, thank you.
Cool. Don't kill anyone. Assassin's Creed though, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
There you go.
I have 2 questions for you too. My first question is, since you're at Comic-Con, who's your favorite comic book character?
whoa, dude. You know what? He's not really a comic book character. Well, he is a comic book character, but he's from way, way back, you know, early 20th century. Conan. It's a great character. Oh yeah. Yeah. Have you read the Dark Horse stuff?
Not a really big fan of Dark Horse, all I know is Spawn.
Oh really? It's like the only character there's a guy named Spider-Man. He has Spider-Man. Superman. Who's got all the powers.
I love DC.
Right on. Well, dude, you check out. I know you don't like horses, but check out the Conan stuff. It's really, really good. Most of it is good. Most of it is good.
And my last question is, since you're a daywalker, what if you ran into the true daywalker, Blade?
You take me out. It's very simple. It'd be like nothing to me but another dead vampire. I'd be like, I guess so. Thank you. Yeah, no problem.
How you doing, Sam?
What's up, man?
Doing pretty good. So you're on my you're on my one of my favorite shows of all time, Dexter.
Cool.
And just two things. What was it like on Dexter? And is Michael C. Hall that character, or like when like off camera is he just like, I think I'm gonna have crackers?
My name is Dexter Morgan. It was really cool. I was on that show before it had aired, so you know I didn't know what it was that I was auditioning for. But then they gave me the pilot, and it was just unbelievable. So I was on a show with everyone coming in, guesting on the show, having no idea who Michael C. Hall was or what this show was. And he was really cool. He was really just focused, not entirely social on the set, but when I've seen him a couple times since then, he's been super awesome, you know. But on the set, he was just very focused because he's a murderer. No, he's a cool guy. He really is. A cool cat.
Cool, thanks, Sam. I just want to say, after meeting all the celebrities, you were just like the most down-to-earth, like laid back, just chill guy. Like, so absolute pleasure just to talk to you, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, good to meet you, sir. Who are you?
I'm your Nick, man.
Let's do it.
Yo, man, I was telling you, since I was getting crap about my physique, I was just wondering.
Crap about what now?
My physique.
Your physique?
And,
Okay.
I was wondering, since, you know, you did a whole bunch of stuff, what would you say your, if it happened, did anything ever, you know, did you hurt? Did you get hurt?
My heart?
No, did you ever get hurt?
Never get hurt. Sure, yeah, totally. Being human, I've had ridiculous amounts of bruises and stuff happening with stunts, really. There's actually a fight in the second season where me and Kyle Schmidt, who plays Henry, we're duking it out on this rooftop, and there's a big drop-off with no railing that falls 40 or 50 feet to the street below, and we never got the shot that really shows that. Because we ran out of time. So I'm like, great, so we just risked our lives just look like we're fighting in an alley. Right? Awesome. Because we were literally fighting this far from the edge. And and I asked them, I'm like, hey, so could you put a mat down there or something? And they're like, well, we don't really have a lot of time. I'm like, put that mat down there! We are going to die! Act now! So it was. Yeah. I mean, but I had a huge bruise on the whole back of my arm from the first fight scene we did, me and Bishop, where he just beats the crap out of me. And because I kept hitting the floor and kept landing on my arm, I really got messed up, really messed it up. And so I've been messed up. And it was awesome. At the beginning of the second season, they're like, hey, Sam, we got great news. I'm like, yeah, what's up? We've discovered that we don't need a stunt double. I'm like, cool.
That was gonna be my like real quick follow-up question. Was like, so do you do all your own stuff?
That's me. Unless
you have no double, you know what I'm saying?
if it's a fall from the rafters or something, then it's not me. Yeah, I know. But you know, everything these days, and most of the stuff that they used last year on the first season was always me. They said that's why they may just be trying to save money and save face. But they said that's why they said there weren't going to be stunt doubles anymore. They're like, you know, we always use the shots with you anyway. So, but to give the stunt doubles their due, there was like a throw, Bishop throws me and I hit a rafter and fall. I didn't do that. There was one where I go over the edge of this railing, hit the ground by my neck. I didn't do that. The big, tough things that would lay me out, thankfully they get much tougher men than me. So, yeah.
Big fan you again, man. Love
Sweet.
you, man. Love you, man. I
I just want you to do porn voice again.
Porn voice.
I do porn voice.
Wait, but that's not porn voice. Porn voice.
That wasn't porn voice. No, should we? I mean.
Porn voice is like an awkward, you know. Isn't it?
No, it's pretty sexy.
They're hiring porn actors for their voice these days. Did you know that? They're like, we'd like you to be in our porn movie, but could you please read Stopping by the Woods in a Snowy Evening? My little boy, horse must think it queer to stop about a farmhouse. So you're perfect! Get him on camera, have him have sex with someone. Now!
Go ahead, young man.
Hey, how you doing? So you have a pretty good build, and I clearly do not. So do you have any workout tips for me, or what do you normally do?
Jog a lot. Eat donuts, they said? Eat M&Ms. They're steroids. No, it's really just whatever you do, stick with it. That's basically it. I started kind of working out in high school, and I think I hit it so hard in high school that it's easy for me to get back into it if I need to. Like if I need to lose weight, I can do it, but if I need to get back to where anyone wants me to be, I can do it pretty easily, because in high school I was like, that guy, literally. I would just walk down the hall. Yeah, thank you. You'd be surprised what you can do with just literally like push-ups and crunches and very simple stuff, and jogging, a lot of jogging. Yeah, it sucks, right? Here's the thing. Don't run as fast as you think you need to. Because for me, I'm a sprinter, right? So I'd be like, oh, I hate jogging because I get tired and I just want to push through it, it's tired. It's because I was running too fast. If you slow it down deliberately, you find you can run forever. You're like, oh, that's jogging. Jogging is running for a long time. Okay, right.
Hello, Mr. Star Killer, sir. It appears that you have a lot of influence whenever you do a role for Star Wars, like in The Force Unleashed, as the Son, as Darth Maul. How much creative influence did you, like how many of your suggestions did you actually bring forth whenever you were being Darth Maul? Because you had a scene where you were kind of goading Obi-Wan on, like, I killed your master, how do you feel about that? And then you took him completely off his guard. Like, how much of that was from your creativity?
Well, the specific line, if I remember it, is, your master Qui-Gon Jinn, I gutted him while you stood helpless and watched. How did that make you feel, Obi-Wan? I think is the line. The line as written was, your master Qui-Gon Jinn, I killed him. Not I gutted him. I killed him while you stood helpless and watched. How did that make you feel, Kenobi? And I was like, well, let's upset him more. Let's say I gutted him, because he did stab him right here. And then let's call him Obi-Wan, because that's what Qui-Gon called him, right? That'd be a little bit more upsetting. Either way, it's more personal to call him by his first name. So the answer is, they don't take all of my suggestions, because that would be crazy. But they certainly listen. The thing is, I learned from Battlestar Galactica, I like to collaborate, right? And that show taught me, it gave me some like a sort of a practice ground for that, because you arrive on Battlestar and they go, hey, great, do one as written and then say whatever you want. And they actually encourage you to improv, to ad-lib, which is an incredible thing on a show with green screen where they're trying to get an effect shot right and the actors are kind of popping off doing whatever they want. It's suicide, but on that show, totally worked. So since then, I have been wanting to, put my input in and change things and do stuff. There's a sign back there. What does it say?
It says 10 minutes left.
10 minutes left. I'll talk faster. So yeah, I definitely get my ideas in there, and the thing is, it's basically if you're going to speak up, people will assume you have a reason for speaking up, and then they learn whether you're crazy or not, essentially, right? But if you come up with more good ideas than you come up with bad ideas, they'll keep listening to you. For example, on The Mist, I remember, again, early on in my career of suggesting things to people, Darabont, and this is before I knew him very well. We're close friends now, but back then he was Frank Darabont. Oh. And so I go up to him and he's having a smoke break, and I say, hey Frank, you know, on my death, okay, if you haven't seen this movie, spoiler alert, I bite it. And I'm like, the final moments of my death, I'm locked outside the store, and there's the glass window, and it says, you know, I've been stabbed, so I'm bleeding, and I'm banging the window, begging to get back in. And then I turn, I see a big monster, and then I turn and say please, and then it yanks me out, and the script said a spray of blood hit the window. And I'm like, well, I think we got that in this movie. I think there's like plenty of blood in this movie. I'm like, what if literally, because I'm bleeding and I'm holding my gut, what if I just lay my hand on the window and say please, and then it yanks me out, and there's nothing, no blood, nothing, it's like it never happened, except that there's this bloody handprint on the window, which will last the rest of the film. And he goes, yep, I'm doing that. I'm like, what? He's like, no, it's a good idea. Now, never mind the 5 awful ideas I pitched to him, which are just ridiculously bad because I was younger and didn't know what I was talking about. But, you know, like, a wise filmmaker will always listen to the people around him and go, okay, well, a good idea can come from everywhere. And Frank is smart enough to know that if he accepts the good idea, he's going to get credit for it anyway. So, and that guy is tremendously talented, by the way, as you guys know.
Thank you very much, Sam. You have a nice day. I got just 2 quick questions. Being that you have another co-star with the same name as you,
Yeah.
how much of a pain in the butt is that when you guys are working with different directors?
I make them call him Phyllis.
What do you guys do?
Phyllis. No, he's Sammy and I'm Sam.
Oh, okay.
Which some people completely ignore, and they go, hey, Sammy. No, Sammy. What? No, I'm Sam. You know, they don't care. But for the most part, he's Sammy and I'm Sam, and it works. You know?
Yeah, I just was curious about that. Second, what's on the horizon for you? I mean, any more Starkiller stuff? I know beyond being human, I mean, what do you got on the...
Yeah, the Starkiller stuff, talk to LucasArts, they would know more than I do.
Oh.
You know, you can get a hold of them, I think, on Twitter or something like that. Darth Maul will be messing stuff up next season on Clone Wars in a big way. And that continues to be a lot of fun. Being Human, we're shooting in a week. And then I got something else, but I can't really talk about it. I'm collaborating with a creator of another show, and we're trying to make our own thing and getting paid to write a pilot and all that stuff. That's fun.
How do we get you on Star Trek?
Was it? Oh my God, I don't know. Talk to JJ, I guess. I know you guys are buds, so please. No, it's I don't know. I can't certainly, you know, say, hey. I mean, how does anyone get on Star Trek? I don't know. Talk to Simon Pegg, ask him. I don't know.
Hey, the internet's a dangerous weapon these days. So
yes, indeed. No, I would just love to contribute in any way to that franchise. Because, I mean, for example, if anyone, do you guys ever watch the New Voyages thing that they did, the fan films, the Star Trek fan films? It's now Star Trek Phase 2, but it originally was called Star Trek New Voyages. And I did the voice of the Guardian of Forever for them, which was fun. You know, that's way back. That went uncredited, but like, that was, they had some guy do, you know, so it's before your sun had burned hot in space, and before your race was born, and I'm like, can you fire that guy? I can do a better job. You know? Because he wasn't an actor, whoever that was doing it. He was so I was shooting Battlestar at the time and set up recording equipment and made sure I recorded it the way they would have in the 60s and limited the frequency response so it would sound like old school recording, and then say, right before your sun burned hot in space, and before your race was born, you know, like that. So I'm a huge Trek fan. All things, you know, Trek. I'm a big fan.
you're very talented, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. I've literally seen everything you've done, pretty much. But some of my favorite stuff was with my son. We were watching outtakes of you and Clancy Brown going over a line as Darth Maul in Star Wars. And we just both got a kick out of you just acting straight up insane as Darth Maul. So I see there's one more behind me, but before you wrap up, I was just wondering if you do an insane Darth Maul line that you did from the show.
Oh, well.
Just straight crazy Sam Woodward.
Please, I don't know. No, you know what? Doing voices and stuff is something I did since like high school and stuff. I feel like working on a Doc Brown impression for no reason. Or like, you know, Christopher Walken before everyone else started doing it, so I'm like, oh, I can't do that anymore. Schwarzenegger, you know, you name it, I've messed around with it. So the Darth Maul thing was, you know, it was an opportunity to take it a little bit in my own direction. Take some of what Peter Serafinowicz once did and then run with it. But what's a line from the second season I can give you?
Sith code.
Yeah, well, there's and Kenobi, the Sith pretender Dooku and all our enemies will fall. Or something like that.
Hello. As a fellow Trekkie, who is your favorite Star Trek captain, and what's your favorite Star Trek movie?
Wow, that's tough. It's really tough. Because I gotta say, I thought, okay, it's okay. Let's just put it this way. My favorite Star Trek shows were original series, Next Gen, and Deep Space Nine. Avery Brooks, I thought, was unbelievable as the captain. Not as much in the first two seasons, but when he really just kind of let himself be Avery Brooks, it was like, whoa, this guy is an incredible actor. And then Patrick Stewart, obviously, is wonderful as Picard. Grew up watching him big time. But I think, you know, because the first one that I saw was Kirk, and I think that's always going to be my favorite. And I think Chris Pine is doing an incredible job as that character. And also just the, you know, it's more fun and the cadence, you know. We've got to get to the planet. No, but honestly though, that show wouldn't have worked without Shatner. I mean, we have now seen how the show could have worked with Jeffrey Hunter, or just about any other actor out there. And by the way, Jeffrey Hunter, really good actor, but the show would have been no sense of humor, no spark, no fun, you know? Unless Spock became the funny guy. I mean, seriously. No, you watch Jeffrey Hunter, and it's like he's doing a great job, and he's taking it super seriously, and he's giving it all that weight and drama, but this show has no sense of humor. Not until Kirk shows up, and then Bones shows up, and suddenly you have all this life, you know? So without Shatner, the show wouldn't have worked, you know? No Star Trek without Shatner, really. So.
Did you have a favorite movie?
Oh, favorite movie. You know, okay, this is, I think there are movies that are like, damn, you know, I think, okay, you could say Khan would be your favorite one. Is this the easy one? I like 6.
Me too.
I like 6. I think 6 might be my favorite, and for no other reason than those characters feel like badasses. They feel like they've seen it all at that point, and they are now the legends that they've always been in our minds. You know, that's fun. And seeing it, it's like the end point. It's a very satisfying ending for all those characters. You know, so.
Thank you.
Speaking of Hitler, like what's going on here? What's going on? Come on, don't do that.
I just had what's your favorite episode of the original Star Trek series? If you had to pick a favorite episode.
God, there's too many to name, really.
Favorite 3?
Sitting on the Edge of Forever. Space Feed is great. I'll just name a few. Cobra Maneuver is awesome. Balance and Terror. I mean, I'm naming all the obvious ones, you know? It's like...
Trouble with Tribbles?
Of course the Tribbles. Of course. My God.
Are you going to put out another album in between all this things? And do you ever think you'll do like a full feature movie again?
Sure. On both. No, the album thing is tricky. I have a half-finished one. It's been sitting there half-finished for a long time. And it's because I've not had any time to get to it, which is really sad to me. I can sell discs now. When I made the first one, who was I going to sell it to? These days, I can really push, a bunch of discs or MP3s these days. So I can make a bunch of tapes and send them out. That's great. I'll make a phonograph. Who the hell? What? No, I can sell a lot of MP3s these days. I mean, it's I hear that all the time, and I'm so grateful for anyone listening to that stuff. They're very patient. But in fact, some of the guys that are in my band that I'm recording with, I am working on this project with. It's the same guys. It's like, you know, my buddies, and we like to work together on stuff. So we played out as the Crash Tones, and now we're working on this thing. So hopefully this thing we're trying to make happen will happen. We're getting paid for working on it so far. That's cool. I like that. We're not working for free. That's cool. But as to whether it will make it out and people will see it and enjoy it, that's another question. We'll see.
A quick comment.
Yeah.
You're almost as good as Liam Shatner.
How do you mean? I mean, because look, he has a lot more experience than I do.
Your music is almost as good as Liam Shatner.
Ah, the music.
It's a joke.
Right, I see. You're almost as, when you say you're almost as good as William Shatner, you're like, yeah, ask the green lady. I don't know. I'm not sure. Oh my God, speaking of green people, what's happening?
You know, I was just sitting there, and since you put so much effort in and you do such a wonderful job in your acting with all the sci-fi and comics, I was wondering, did this occur, like your love for sci-fi and comics, only because you came through acting, or did you have a love for it since you were a child?
Yeah, you love it when you're a kid, but then the more you work on it, the more you like it. Basically, yeah. I become a bigger fan of all these things from having worked on them. So, thanks a lot, guys. You guys are